we joke around a lot on this show, but we're going to put jokes aside and look at a pretty influential and serious RPG that's kind of changed the hearts of a lot. And today we're looking at adventure RPG in need of translation. Welcome to the Jocular Junction. My name is Jordan with a silent PH in the middle, and I'm joined by my co-host Lex over there, Mr. Lex Mandrake. And we're going to do Games with Lex. We're going to review an RPG with a good friend Lex. What are we looking at today?
All right. Well, Jordan, in the history of role-playing games, there are a few works that have really changed the game. Official Dungeons & Dragons by Gygax and Arneson, Call of Cthulhu by Sandy Peterson, Apocalypse World by Vincent Baker, and I think the biggest of all of them in sort of the modern lexicon has got to be Adventure RPG in Need of Translation by Better Legends, aka Skullboy. And I know what you people at home are thinking. Of course, any RPG aficionado worth their salt is familiar with this seminal text, but for the uninitiated, Adventure RPG in Need of Translation is a 24-page zine by the aforementioned Skullboy that really upended the whole sphere upon its release in 2021. It can be purchased digitally on itch.io for $6.66 or physically for $12 from Exalted Funeral. Now, I will point out that the store page is really, the itch store page, really highly satirical and really elevated to the level of something to like almost a Dante's Divine Comedy type satire here, given the context of the book itself. So it sets up this farcical scenario of a traveling wizard from another world who has come upon this artifact and cannot decipher it, thus allowing the royal we, the audience, to translate it for him.
And that would be the artifact in question is the RPG. Right?
Yes, yeah. The game itself, right? And it's such a funny joke, right? Because it's as if Skullboy is showing us the work through the eyes of like innocence, so that as we read it, we can reflect on Salvador Moss, the wizard, in their blissful ignorance, and count ourselves that much more lucky that we're able to truly appreciate a game like this. Now, I really want to avoid, and Jordan, I hope you're with me on this, I really want to avoid direct quotes here, because I feel like that almost cheapens it, you know? Now, we're going to show pages on the screen as we discuss the themes therein, but don't let this stop you from really sitting down and reading this on your own, because it's a super rewarding experience when you really dig into the words.
Part of the whole experience of this RPG is the sitting down and reading through it.
Yeah, 100%.
And so to cheapen that for the audience is not something that we want to do.
Yeah, let's get into the book.
Let's get into the book.
We start off with that cover, right? It's really, it's got that eye-catching design. It's got those 3d6, the cornerstone of RPGs. Just like that first character was generated, this is really calling back to the roots of the genre, and I gotta respect that. And then next, we have that foreword. I mean, like, wow, it's really touching.
Yeah, it was interesting, and I don't know, I was unfamiliar that his grandfather went through something like that. And in Antarctica, of all places, it kind of threw me for a loop. So
yeah, no, knowing what we know about the text when we get into it, it actually really foreshadows a lot of stuff, but it's so poignant and interesting to start the book that way. We have the dice, right? The bloody hand as a constant reminder of our own mortality and the real impact that our roles are going to have. And then we have this great example of play where we see, like, yes, it can be tactical, but in a more like three-dimensional way. So it really lets the players engage in a true battle of wits. and has all these cosmic themes. Plus, you can use minis if you want, which is always nice.
It's great. No, it's interesting that we have the dice used. Like you have the tetrahedron, the hexahedron, but then he expands on it even further than games like DCC for like the starahedron. Now, after that lengthy opening, we get into some of the basic rules, and our narrator, Skullboy, is prominently displayed here in the top left. Now, Skullboy he uses this medium to explain the ephemeral nature of meaning. Like what starts out as yearning soon becomes corroded into a dialectic power, leaving only a sense of nihilism and the prospect of a new synthesis. And it's at this stage that those minis can really come into play.
Right? It really opens it up for that. It's great because there's just so much subtext here. But if we go to the next page, right? So at first glance, you might think, hey, this is a little cheeky. And I think that's part of the cleverness of it. Mm-hmm. So at first you think, oh, it's a butt joke, right? But then you realize...
I mean, it's really a Kafkaesque critique of the RPG industry and their evolving nature.
Right? Like, obviously. So and now, I won't really call this a system of classes per se, as we'd seen in another game. It's so far beyond that. But we do get some different examples of maybe archetypes, both mythical and contemporary, and how they're mechanically represented.
Yeah. This page I love. So I love this layout, and we're immediately drawn to the problem, which is the monster. And then we see our four main classes, which is obviously the solution. We have the Ostiary, the Master of Revels, the Bear Leader, and the Executioner's Apprentice. Now, each of these involve 3 subclasses that augment their abilities further, and this leads to a possible 12 combinations. But if you view the page in its hypercube format, you'll actually find that there's 1,728 possibilities. And so going further, the game can really feel almost endless. Like, I feel like you could play this until you're like 80.
Yeah, no, it's great. It can appeal to like the Pathfinder type players out there, or it can appeal to like your really free Kriegspiel people either. It's wild how much this does, really. Going on. Okay, I love this spread, right?
Yes.
This is one of my favorite mechanics ever. Like, we've seen so many games try to do, like, hit locations, but you end up with all these charts and this complex dice math, and you're tracking different HP totals for your different limbs. Here, it's done effortlessly. And the rules touch is just so light, but it still gives that real strategic depth. It's incredible. It's just so nicely done.
It's no wonder that games like Morkborg stole this layout, adapted this layout for their book. Like, it's so universal.
This is a wild one.
Yeah. Now I'm honestly surprised that more RPGs haven't adopted the particular mechanic outlined on this page, but perhaps they don't have the unrelenting divergence of prose that our author does. Now, I personally would never say that a tabletop RPG is perfectly balanced, but I will say that this tabletop RPG is perfectly balanced.
I have played it a bit, and it just works perfectly. Everything clicks.
No, it's been my main game for the last couple of years. So,
well, it was intimidating at first, right? Because you were just like, how can I even wrap my head around all of this and get? But when you finally do that,
wrap your head around it, that's when
it's magic.
The text actually illuminates. So,
wow. Okay, so next page, right? Mm-hmm. This section, it's all about nourishment. For both the characters and the players, we have this question of violence against sentient creatures. How does taking that in affect us? And, of course, the 4 elements and how they play a part in the transmutation of nutrients. So, at first you think it's just about cooking, but it's really so much more. It's really spiritual, right? Going beyond the page into the metaphysical.
Yeah, because in the pot, they're distilling down some of the food and they're kind of like, the melting pot pushing this together. But that really is just an allegory for life and our spiritual essence coming together to form a story with a game. I like, yeah, this page. So, I mean, every RPG, equipping your character, this is a big thing that you have to do. So we see a big push in RPGs to get rid of class and have equipment. And here, this is kind of realized better or more finalized. Every weapon, it corresponds to an equal non-combat skill. So are you attacking with a sword or are you planting vegetables? Are you swinging a mace or are you estate planning? And when you're equipping that staff, now are you casting a spell or are you making textiles? But Skullboy in this instance says, why not both? And it's one of those things that it seems so obvious when you see it on the page like this, but to like somebody had to put it into words for you. And then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, and I don't know. It was just, I'm surprised more games haven't adopted this, but.
Now, the next section here, we're getting towards the end here, and it's useful, very utilitarian, right? We have these symbols, they're very reminiscent of Solomonic seals, and their usefulness as reference material is obvious here, given the preceding text. Really great thing to include, like far better than you see with those included, like a rule reference sheet that you'd see in something like many OSR titles have. It's great. No, I love it.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think, would definitely start calling this like the index, but it's not an index so much as it's like the culmination of the rules reference pages. So
yeah, it's like an index. It's like a glossary. It's like any kind of citation you need, any kind of reference. It's there.
And that one looks like a chicken.
I realize we reached the end already. Oh, this outro text. I mean, it just really gets me every time I read it. It's really kind of beautiful. But then we get to the back cover, right? And it brings everything back to being like really uplifting.
Yeah, I mean, after you've gone through that entire journey, there's a section here at the end that wants to remind us that, it is just a game and it's your game. So have fun.
Have fun with, yeah. Oh, it's great. Great. Adventure game, parentheses, in need of translation, revolutionized mechanics we already knew and introduced so much more. I mean, it really contextualizes like all of RPGs and what it means to play on a really foundational level. I think just like D&D, we're going to be reiterating and studying and playing this game 50 years from now, at least.
Yeah. It's been truly a Brechtian experience in both reading and playing, and just the consumption in general. I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to start popping up in every like free little library all across the United States. So.
Totally. Yeah. Now, Skullboy's other work mostly sticks to art. And I think the reason for that is obvious. I mean, after you've created this kind of magnum opus, there just like isn't anywhere else to go with prose. No more written worlds to conquer, so to speak. So I would say go. Pick this up, drink it in. Maybe check out some of the other Better Legends products, because there's a lot of really great stuff there. You'll thank us later, all right? And any insights that you have about this book, we would love to hear about them in the comments down below. Anything we missed, I mean, like I said, there's just so much subtext to explore in this document.
Absolutely. And you can check out this game. We'll have links down below to his itch page. And let us know. Let us know what you think of an adventure RPG in need of translation. Mm-hmm. And is this your new go-to game like it is for Lex and I? So,
you know what I would like to know is what game are you leaving because you think this did it better, right? I think okay. Right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What game are you leaving? What movie theater are you walking out of? Mm-hmm. How often have you ignored your children for this game?
That's yes, very important, very really useful information. But hey, everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Take care. Yeah,
So
I don't know why I still do April Fool's videos, because I don't think they work. Like,
that's funny because I first found your channel through I think it was like your Matt Colville April Fool's video,
yeah,
right?
that was the
Yeah.
first one, because you're just like, I don't know, I watch Matt Colville videos, I'll buy a fake beard and do that.
Yeah.
And then
I think I messaged you because of that, didn't I?
yeah,
And that's
and
how
I think
like
that's how we met.
Yeah.
So hey, maybe April Fool's videos are still good. I don't know.
April Fool's videos are the best. That's my take. You can at me on social media about it. April Fool's videos rule. As long as they're not mean. That's the thing. You don't want to be mean about it.
Oh my god, he just ran in.